Okay guys, we're gonna do a little bit of a different video. I'm sure in some of my previous videos you've seen this machine in the background. This is my Syil X5 milling machine, and because of the other projects I've been doing, it's been sitting idle for a little bit. And I'll go into detail later on why I have it and what I use it for in a different video, but today we're gonna work on servicing the coolant tank and getting ready to use it again. So it's sat idle for about maybe a month and a half or so, and my coolant tank, if you can see the sight glass there, it's all evaporated. So I'm gonna work on flushing it, cleaning it out, and putting new coolant in it. I've done this process probably 3 times. So it's nothing new, but I'd like to film it because there's not a lot of videos on this machine online, and I want to do more videos with it. So I'm going to start getting ready to start, and we're going to clean this thing out. All right, so step 1, I'm going to clean out any existing chips in the chip bins. So I just got a big garbage can here, and these are all my chips from previous jobs, but I'm going to get all these and clean them into there. Okay, so we went and got the primary filter screens or catches cleaned out. You can see that where the chips sat with coolant, it's a little bit hard on the paint. Some of this has already been chipped away, but it eats away at that paint. That's not really a concern. As long as you get the loose stuff out, it's not going to harm the pump or anything, and this really doesn't affect anything because it stays lubricated. With all that stuff, it'll never rust. So got those cleaned out, and we'll leave those to side for a little bit while we work on this. So these are the secondary screens. It's a little hard to see since it's darker back here, but we need to remove, and it's too dark, all these screws along the edges. And I'll tell you what size that is once I figure it out. And then we'll start working on the inside of the tank. Okay, so there are 6 5mm cap screws per side, so 12 total. And at one point, I did have a sacrificial Allen key that I cut so I could put it in my drill, but I cannot find it. So we're just gonna have to do it all by hand, but I'm gonna go ahead and remove these. We'll set these aside also, and then we'll start working on the tank. Okay, so I got my 12 cap screws out, and I'm soaking them in some WD-40. Because they had a little bit of rust on them just from sitting in that wet environment. So we'll just let those soak the whole time while we clean this up until we put it back together. So now I'm going to take these grates out, and then I'll show what we got to do in there. Okay, so the fluid is not as bad as I thought it was. It's been a lot worse. Now, if you can see, you can't really see the depth of it, but the top layer is good. Down below is where all the chips are. You can see my fingers. So before I disturb this with the pump and mix all those chips into it, I want to suck some of this out and run it through just a filter and keep it, because that stuff gets kind of expensive when you start dumping and refilling it with coolant. So the most I can harvest out of it, the better. So I'm gonna start doing that, and then we'll get the bottom cleaned out. Okay, so I was able to get a good 4 gallons out of here clean. The rest, there's about a 1/2 inch on the bottom still, and you can see all the fines in the bottom and everything. So I'm gonna start cleaning that out. Now, This does have filters screens here on the side. Try and set this so you can see. So these screens, I never really understood how these were supposed to go together, because there is a hole through the side here, but there's no rails for this to sit on. So if you look, hold on, I'm doing this with one hand. When it's in, it just sits, it doesn't sit tight to this side, so stuff can leak right around it. So I never really understood, you can see it just moves. I never understood how that was supposed to go. Maybe it's missing some rails in there or something, but I'm gonna take those out and clean them, and then we'll shop vac that and that side out and work on the middle section with the pump. All right, so those tanks are shop vac'd out. You can see there's still some remnants, but when we do it, when I flush it with fresh water, we'll get all this out. Make sure to clean it. So those two sides are good. Now I got to work on that center section with the pump. So just like the other sides, this has 6 cap screws around the edges, and this whole assembly comes out, and I'll show that. We'll take this out. Okay, so I got the pumps assembly off. I got those 6 cap screws put in the WD-40 with the rest, and I got that vacuumed out. Now, I've never had a problem with it, but if you need to, this pump does have a quick release latch up here for the power, and you can move it out of the way, but I've always just put it off to the side and it's not been a problem. So now this is completely disassembled. So I'm going to start running fresh water through everything and start to clean it out. Most of the time, it takes me about 3 rotations of fresh water to get everything cleaned out to where no remnants or residue is still in the system. So I'm gonna go ahead and fire this thing up, get everything on, and then start inside the actual cabinet, cleaning down the walls, cleaning out all the ways and everything, and blowing it all down to the tank, and then it will flush all the water. Okay, so I got this thing fired up. I'm gonna take hot water in my hose just to break things down. And I'm just gonna take the hose and start washing top down, get all the shavings off the door, clean the table, and get it all down to the tanks. And then we'll start working on pumping it and flushing it. Okay, so I got the cabinet all cleaned out. I took basically steaming hot water and got, you can see all the oils are out. It's all cleaned up nice. There's a little bit of remnants here and there, but we'll keep flushing that out. Stuff will keep coming. I have not run the pumps yet though. So, if you look here, let me get my flashlight. Look at the color of the water that came out of the cabinet just from cleaning it out like that. So you can see just how dirty it was. So I'm gonna go ahead and probably run the pump quickly with this hot water, and then we'll suck all that out, clean it out good, and add fresh water and start running fresh water cycles. We'll let that run for a good 5 minutes or so, let it flush anything out, and then we'll suck that up and put some fresh water in there. All right, so I let this run for a good amount of time here. You can see that the water is running clear now. So I'm going to shut those pumps off. And we will shop back out all this nasty water, dump it out back there, and then get to working on getting this thing put back together soon. Okay, so I got all that nasty water sucked out. These are pretty well clean now. I'm going to start filling it from the inside of the cabinet. I like to always fill from the cabinet. That way it runs through everything and it's not isolating a spot that might get caught later when I'm machining. Okay, so I'm just filling with some room temperature water now. I'm not too worried about the heat anymore because I've already gotten any contaminants that might be in there out. So now we're just filling with some fresh water. And you can see already some shavings that are still coming out from the cabinet. And that's why I like to do that. Because if you don't, these will get stuck and then caught up in your filters and pumps as soon as you're done cleaning it. So we'll let that fill up a good halfway or so on the sight glass, and then we'll start the pump up. And we do have to clean one more thing, which I'll show, which is special to my machine. It's an add-on that I did. Okay, so I got this pretty well halfway filled up now with some fresh water. Now I'm going to kick on the pump, and I'll show you what I was talking about that I have to clean. Okay, so on my machine, and a lot of people do this, I added a three-way valve here with a sprayer nozzle with just a short hose. That way, I can clean out the inside of the machine with coolant while I'm doing this process. So I don't have to do this process all the time. Because it's a certain mixture with the coolant, you can't just start putting water in here to clean it out. So I added that so I'm able to spray out the cabinet while I'm working and just keep it clean. So I'm going to flip this valve over. Now this hose has pressure, and that will spray into the tank here. And you can see that leftover coolant that's still in there. So now we'll get any stuff that needs flushed out. That way all the lines are completely clean and there's no other contaminants in the system. All right, now that that line's cleaned out, we'll switch it back to the cabinet and we'll let the water, the fresh water now, run through here for a good, however long, 10, 15 minutes. But while that runs, I'm gonna start working on cleaning out the filters, the catches, and the screens there. All right, so I like to clean these out in my tub here. Now, most of you aren't gonna have a tub in your shop, but I like it because it naturally filters out anything lower. So it just starts at the top and works down. Now, I'm just gonna rinse those with fresh water, and then any residue from, because that coolant I use, and maybe all coolants do it, they leave a slight haze or a residue on everything. So I like to use some all-purpose Zep cleaner just in a spray bottle and let it sit on there and eat away at anything. Here's what I use. So a lot of guys like to use a additive or something in their water when they flush out the pumps to get that kind of residue out, but I've never seemed to have a problem with it. Lots of guys maybe get some growth in their coolant, some contaminants, but I've just never had an issue with it, so I just use fresh water as far as the pumping goes. But for the tank and the screens and all the other stuff, I just use some Zep cleaner, and it's always worked good for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean all these up, hit them with a scrub brush, and we'll rinse them outside, or maybe in here with a hose, and then let them dry and keep working on flushing that tank. Okay, so I got the first set of screens and filters and everything all cleaned up with the Zep and rinsed. We'll lay it there to dry. and the pump has been running a good amount of time while I did that. So we'll check out what it flushed out. Turn this off. Let's see what we got. Each time it gets a little bit cleaner. So, let's see, much better than the first time. So what I'm going to do is suck that tank out now with a shop vac, and then we'll actually clean the inside of the entire tank and all the ways and all the channels there and everything with ZEP, and then we should be able to fill it with fresh water just one more time and pump it, clean it out, and then put the coolant back in. Okay, so I got the tank pretty well cleaned out now. You can see there is still some residue, which I'm going to clean out. I haven't done the ZEP yet. So I'm just going to hit everything with the ZEP, and I'll wipe it down with some microfiber towels, and then we'll fill it with fresh water. Hopefully, should be the last time. Run the fresh water through it while we clean out the other screens, those other screens, and then should be able to shop vac it out for the last time and put it all back together. Okay, so I got everything soaked down with ZEP. You can see it's in there. I'm gonna let it all sit and kind of eat away at some of that stuff, the residue left over. Now, one thing I'll say is most guys miss this. Make sure you clean the actual pump and the bottom of this cover when you do this. Otherwise, you did it all for nothing. So make sure you clean the bottom of that. That's the one thing people miss most of the time. So we'll let this sit and eat away at that stuff, the residue there, and then I'll wipe it all out and fill it with water. But while I'm waiting for that, I'm going to clean these out. Okay, guys, so we got all that ZEP wiped up, and you can see just how clean the tank is now. I did do the back of this, and I did the motor and the housing and cleaned everything up. So everything's nice and clean now, even in there. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this thing up with water just like the last couple times, just halfway. I'm going to run water through this, give it a good 10-15 minutes, and we'll suck out all that with the vacuum, dry the tank, put all the screens and things back together, and fill it with coolant, and we'll be done. Okay, so I did decide on this very last one, I'm going to run some hot water through it. So you can probably see some steam coming off, maybe not. But that'll be just a last ditch effort to loosen up anything else that could still be in there. There you go, you can see some steam coming off of that. So we'll let that go. And yeah, that should loosen it up. Okay, so this has been running quite a while with that hot water in it. And you can see now the water is just basically clear now. There's nothing left in it. What you're seeing there is a couple chips that came out, which is not a problem. And that was just anything left in there. So I'm gonna suck that all out, wipe it down with a microfiber rag so it's all dry. Get any last little stuff that came out, and it'll be ready to be put back together and put the coolant in. Now, obviously, on your machine, you want to clean it, flush it as many times until your water is clear like mine. For me, 3 times has always been the charm, so whatever number works for you, works for you. But yeah, let's get this vacuumed out and cleaned up. Okay, so I got all that clean water vacuumed out. And I got these all wiped out. So there's no more residue left. All clean. The chutes are clean. Everything's good. So I'm going to start putting the stuff all back together. But those screws that's been sitting in here, I want to take some, like a Brillo pad to them to get any of that rust that might have loosened up off of there. So I'm just going to take some Scotch-Brite pad or whatever and loosen those up and put it all back together. Everything is buttoned back up. and it's all clean. It looks great, way better than it was. So I'm going to put the coolant back in, the stuff we salvaged, and then I will show the coolant I use and mix some up and top it off. All right, so for my coolant, I use this synthetic machining coolant from, it's just from Amazon. So a lot of guys use Synergy is the brand, and I looked into that. It is more expensive, and for what I'm doing, a smaller shop, I'm not a big shop, this works just fine. So I get it in 5 gallons. I used to get it in the 1 gallon containers, but it got too expensive. It's way better getting it in 5 gallon buckets. So I did top the machine off already, so that's all good. It's all filled up. So when I mix new coolant, all I do is I flick the pumps on. So we'll let that prime. There you go. And then I let the actual pump and machine mix it all together. I still mix it a little bit in the bucket, but the machine does the hard lifting of mixing it. So the goal is, if you don't have enough coolant, it tends to suck air, and you can see it's kind of foamy. It should even out in just a second here, since I just primed the pump. But what you want to make sure is that when the pump is running, you've got about half on your sight glass there. I don't know if you can see my bubble. A little below half, but we'll let that run out and it should be fine. Thank you guys for watching. That's about it for this video. If you want to see more on this machine, my goal is to do more videos on it, because it is a relatively new machine. They've only been making these newer models for maybe 2-3 years. So when I started, I didn't have much instructional videos or anything to look at. So I did a lot of it by just testing and kind of reading through the manual. It's all in Chinese, so it's not the best. So a lot of it was just messing around with it. So I'd like to make some videos to help people who are getting into these machines have something to look at, you know, because I didn't have that. I just had to figure it out. So if you want to see more on these, that's my goal. I'm going to keep making more videos on this. But thank you for watching, and the next video you see should be finishing up the lights on the container.